I now request CA Dhananjay sir, who is Internal Audit Committee member, to introduce our distinguished speaker, CA Sudhir Dalvi ji, who is Group Executive President, Corporate Audit of Aditya Birla Group.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to welcome Sudhir Dalvi sir as speaker of this session. Mr. Dalvi is Group Executive President, Corporate Audit at Aditya Birla Group and has over 3 decades of extensive experience in diverse verticals in areas of internal audit, risk management, forensic functions, and financial management. He has worked with reputed organizations such as Ernst & Young Dubai, Hindustan Petroleum, British Gas, Tata Chemicals, and Tata Motors. He is a chartered accountant and an All India rank holder and has an IFRS certification from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. He has a proven track record of successfully leading audit and finance functions of global organizations in developing, implementing, and improving risk management framework, business processes, control environment, designing governance frameworks, productivity improvements, and change management. Please join me in welcoming Sudhir Dalvi sir with a huge round of applause. We welcome you, sir. Now I would like to request CA Rajkumar sir and CA Preeti ma'am to present a memento as a token of appreciation to Sudhir Dalvi sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I now request Dalvi sir to kindly deliver his address.
Thank you, Dhananjay, for your kind words and the introduction. And at the outset, let me thank all the WIRC members, ICAI, as well as the eminent faculty members who have been here on the dais outside in the forum also, for giving me an opportunity to share my thought process and a platform to share this particular topic, value deliverables by the internal audit. Now, at the outset, because all the eminent speaker in the past one day or even otherwise prior to that might have given you their angle of what best things can happen in the various topics in the internal audit field and so on and so forth. So what am I going to add further to that, value added, whatever, their thought process they have delivered in the past so many conferences and all. So it will be interesting to see whether you are along with me to, share, and this is going to be a journey together, I don't want this to have a more of a presentation or something. It's let us have a dialogue also. So at points in between, so if you feel like you need to stop me or need to ask something or need to share something on this particular topic, feel free to be open about that. Don't wait for things to be asked to you or given a pause to you to ask the questions. With that, let us see what we can look at the value deliverables for the internal audit. At the beginning, let me have some disclaimer like what you have for all the movies. Like the content of this presentation is sourced from the various public platforms and solely for providing a understanding of the subject matter. So I am not the originator, let me tell you, because I'm as equally like you. Only thing I'm with this side here on the dais, but otherwise I'm all part of you. So with this disclaimer we start. Now the session's overview is broadly divided into 9 parts. So we'll go to each one of them in detail as we proceed in the due course of the presentations. But these are the 9 parts. I'm not reading them out. As we go there, we'll understand what it is. Now let us understand now what is the current scenario. Like, as you all well know, you are all professionally qualified chartered accountants, or even more than that, couple of other degrees as well. So internal audit is basically mandated by the various statutory requirements, maybe Companies Act, maybe various regulatory requirements which are coming up from time to time, and so on and so forth. And if that is so, if everything is well designed, well defined, what is that we as the internal auditors can do better than what is mandated there? And that is going to be an interesting one. And both the things, like they all talk about, maybe the Companies Act, maybe the regulatory requirements, various regulatory boards and agencies and their requirements, they all talking about the post facto approach. What I mean by post facto approach is they will always ask the auditors to reflect on what has happened in the past and very little, something about future. So we need to see what is missing in these 2 pieces. Could this be an area of a value add for the internal audit? Say, for example, the current scenario is this. Now there's a need for a change. What is the need for a change? Because why we need to change? If everything is well defined, well mandated, why do we need to go for a change? That is because now everybody, you must have seen the advertisement, a dil mange more, taste the thunder. Let me give an example of water. Maybe the ancient times, or maybe hundreds of years back, there was a need to have a water, then the need and the value add to have a clean water, then the need and a value add to have a tapped water, then a need and a value add to have a processed water, or whatever you call mineral waters, then bottled waters. And then we moved on for, at every stage to add a value to have a colored water, flavored water, and so on and so forth. So as many stakeholders are there, as many, different needs are there. And every piece, the simple piece of water, which is itself is a valuable commodity or valuable proposition, was added a value. At the beginning, somebody would have thought, what better can I add to a value? Water is like a life. What can I add a value to the life material like water? But yes, I think over a period of time, we look back and we say what value addition we have done. And the furthermore value addition has happened in terms of not only what we talk about the taste the thunders or, the cold drinks. Furthermore, you go to the hard waters. It is not a topic of this thing, but you can always see what value add propositions happens. We as an auditor, we have to always understand what piece which is not there, where we can improvise it further. And that is what is, call for a need for a change. I'm talking very generic. We will come to the topic, maybe towards the midst of the presentation as to what do my thought process, entails me to tell you could be the value deliverables for the internal audit. So moving further, now there's a need for a change. Why there is a need for a change? Because the geopolitical risk, it requires no mention what is going on with the war, in the Russia and Ukraine. Things will happen which are outside your control. Now you will think, what that has to do with the audit. We'll come to that at the end of this slide, what that has to do with the audit. But yes, there are factors which are happening, which are outside the scope and control of an internal auditor as a function, as an internal auditor, as a person. So also this geopolitical risk changes the socio-economic factors, correct? And this also have a relevance on the dynamic market conditions. Now, all these things, these are the factors which will help us to understand, can we do something better rather than doing the mandated work, rather than doing the defined work, rather than doing the things which have been asked to do, can we do something more than that? And that is what changing the workforce dynamics. As auditors, as internal auditors, we need to change our mindset. We need to change our skill set, and we need to change our thought processes also, because gone are those days when one can say I'm a chartered accountant, I can do this only, or I cannot do this for whatever reasons. We have to be versatile, we have to be adaptive, correct? And as I said, all the 4 factors above, they are challenging the regulatory environment, correct? And many times you see a lot of laws keeps on changing, a lot of new laws keeps on coming. See, the Companies Act got changed in 2013, correct? So things will keep on changing. So nothing is going to be constant. So even the nature changes. So what the function should remain the same. It all will keep on going changing. changing. And then all these 5 factors above, what will happen to the auditor? The changing business operating model. And whom do we serve? We serve the businesses. The business change, then the auditors, their thought process, their skill set, their way of delivering, what to deliver, when to deliver, how to deliver, everything is going to change drastically. And that change can happen not for the sake of change. We need to see what value additions we can do by making those change. If you do only for the sake of change, then it is a matter of just delivery, but the value addition piece may not be seen. So you always see what is the compliance and what is the cost effectiveness, efficiency parameters, and so on and so forth. So value is more to do with the other parameters, which are efficiency, effectiveness, and so many other things, like risk management, brand reputation, so on and so forth. At the same time, let me tell you, because in the today's current world of so many dynamic things are happening, the value addition from the internal audit will come provided he is able to put his thought process, skill set to tell the organizations how to remain relevant and be existent. You should not be out of the corporate entity, as a corporate entity. If you don't understand the market dynamics, an internal auditor could be one of the agency which can give the organizations the insight to this, early insight to this. I'm not saying you become the manager of the organizations, but you can be a trusted partner of the organizations. Okay. So now the value delivery is a journey. It is not a point at a given point of time. It is not a point delivery. It is over a period of time. It is a process delivery. To start with, I think most of you, those younger fellows or elder fellows, would have seen the old days when we passed it out. I think the important was how good can you make an audit report, correct? And that was the value delivery. How best you can write the audit report. It should be clear. It should be complete. It should be, cover up all that what is need to be done over there. But as we moved ahead, then I think the management expectation, the stakeholder expectations came, and they wanted us to be analysts. They says, don't just put me the facts, figures and tell me what has happened. I want you to put some analytical things to this, analytical flavor to that, and give me that one. So that was a value addition from reporting to the analyst or the analyst reports. Moving further, I think it was not sufficient after some time, and the expectation came. We want a value delivery, not just good audit report, good analysis. We wanted some solution also, things which have gone wrong, things which are not as desired. What can we do? So give us a solution also. Don't just highlight the problem, give us a solution. So that was a value delivery from point analyst to point, like solution provider. Moving it further. Then they said, okay, you become the value advisor. You become my advisor to, whatever you do, you advise me. Don't just do, for saying this is what has happened, so do this. You advise me otherwise also. And then came the next stage, where the value additions or value expectation was there, and that is trusted partners. At this, I'll take a small pause. Let me understand, do you understand the term trusted partner for internal auditor to be a value delivery mode position for this particular function? Unless it is too difficult for you all to understand, then I have to dwell much on this. Anybody? My God, I'm talking something very high-fi thing. This appears to be. See what it means by trusted partners. You must have seen the concept of a family doctor, correct? While the doctor, he is a medical professional, he will give his advice, he will give his, treatment recommendations, whatever. But when he becomes a family doctor, there's a huge change. You see the value add. He's not any other doctor. He's a doctor, but he's a family doctor. The same concept, we have to take it to the internal auditor. He has to be a trusted partner. Now you understand a little bit better. You are able to relate it out. Okay. Now what it means, like the auditors, we have to change the gears, but that doesn't mean we have to leave the audit. Like the doctor, he will still do his job, but he'll be a family doctor. And I need not explain what it means to be a family doctor. So the same philosophy, same thought process, and the same kind of underlying things has to happen for a trusted partners. Is it clear? Are there any questions? Because this is the most important value deliverable, aspect for the entire audit function. I'll be happy to be challenged on this. Yes. You have a mic? See what happened, if you ask me, strategic partner is a subset of a trusted partner. Trusted partner is each and everything will come to the business management, the business stakeholders, and strategic partner will be only for the strategic matters. Correct? So if you ask me, trusted partner is a very larger term. Everything is covered there. May it be strategy, may it be operations, may it be a particular situations, maybe HR situations, may it be something very high level, like I can say non-compliances, having something to do with the operations in that. So many things will come in because the management will come to you, and provided you are able to instill the trust as an auditor, they will say, because you have seen this thing across my operations, probably you would have seen across all operations during your career span, probably you are in a position to relate this with your professional, whatever forums and other things. So you are in the best positions, to see, because the management would be able to see only for the given business at the given point at different forum. So you are traveling around. So you tell me what it is. And while you tell me, you act like a manager. You don't act like an auditor. While you keep that hat there as an auditor, like a family doctor tells us, look, this is sugar high. Agar nahi karega to kya ho sakta hai, correct? BP high, kya ho sakta hai? Change your lifestyle, your wife, your kids, so many things, so many things. So that's how it has to happen for the internal auditor. And you can deliver the value provided you are able to build the trust with the management. They don't come and see you as, he's trying to find out, trying to see the hole in the, whatever it is and trying to extend it further. No, that should not be the case. So does it answer your question? Oh, thank you. Now, to be a value delivering, like internal audit functions, what that is required is, this is a theory. Let me tell you, let me add to this. Now, things will not happen because you want to do it for the sake of doing it. It is not just you're going to add 1 + 1 and create a value. The value is created by changing yourself first, because you need to understand, realize, visualize, and introspect. And you need to change your behaviors also as an auditor. You cannot only wear the hat and say, I'm the auditor. So people say empathy, sympathy, whatever it is. Those are all the HR terms. I'm not getting into this. What we need to be there is, we need to be proactive, flexible, and adaptive. Now, these terms are not new to us. These terms are anyway there much before, and they will remain forever. But we need to understand as an auditor, how can I demonstrate these attributes in my behavior, in my executing the jobs, in my interaction with the management, and all other things. So is it so difficult for you to demonstrate this thing? What do you think? Is it difficult or it is easy? I think you are confused. I'll give you a live example, because we need to be proactive. Means what? We don't have to be proactive with ourselves and think, okay, I will keep on thinking. When it comes, I will talk, I have thought like this. No, you have to be proactive, flexible, and adaptive, and be with the management. You can't keep the things with yourselves. You have to go out and interact with the people, management, and tell and say, this is what I can offer to you. This is a value add I can give it to you. Probably out of your 10 suggestions, they may go agree one, they may agree none, but they will keep it in mind. This is the attitude of the internal auditor, which is what is available. He is thinking, he is positive, and is able to help us. Because see, you cannot replace the management. Neither you can supersede the management, but you're always there to help. We always like a helping hand, correct? Because he cannot replace us. So be the helping hand there. And these attributes are must for doing the help. There is no point saying, okay, I'll help you. But if you see no skills, if you see no quality in your help, why the management will take your help? And if the management doesn't want you to help them, how can you add the value as an internal audit function? Agreed? Anybody disagrees with this? No? Good. And many times it is said, the common sense is not so common. So as auditors, we need to have a great common sense. Audit, you always, put that hat of an auditor, but always apply something more as a common sense, how things will happen. Go to the other side and visualize what may happen if we do it that way, not from the audit angle, but of the business angles also. Because you must have heard it's a common phrase, auditors को business नहीं समझता है, उसको खाली auditing laws ही समझता है. I think that is the last thing to happen. The moment it comes to that stage, you are finished. Means you are there only because some requirement is there. You are not wanted there. People want, the family doctor concept again comes in. The doctor understands you, your lifestyle, your family's lifestyle, your tensions in the life to some extent, and so on and so forth. So you have to be a family doctor, like a family auditor, and visualize what the management, the stakeholders want from you. When I say management, please bear in mind, because the management happens at various stages. It does not mean always board of directors. That is the supreme one. It does not mean always the audit committee. That is the next to supreme one. It does not mean the board level committees. It is that level. Suppose a simple junior auditor who is doing some work at a plant level, his process owner is a stakeholder, correct? Ask him. If you're doing something IT, this thing, your IT function as a, as a stakeholder. Something happening at a unit level, the unit holder is a stakeholder and the management. So we have to be very, very clear in terms of what we are trying to do, not as an auditor, forget jao, have a common sense, go ahead and see what you can offer. And today's word, they are our customers, correct? And we always have learned customer is a king. Sometimes it is yes, most of the time it is yes only, correct? Having said so, to continue, what are the prerequisites for this deliverable? Now, this is just a slide theory. Again, most of you would be knowing it out. So I'll run it very quickly. So we have to change our mindset and demonstrate the change from, I need not even read this. This all knew better than me, correct? Now, this is very important because, as I said, fault finding to solution and the improvement oriented. Now, this is also everybody knows. But I have seen my practical experience of almost around 34 years post qualification. Even I was also part of this thing, like when I find something huge point, I used to feel very proud. I used to take that pat on my back or my team and say, oh, acha finding hai. But I think this is not the right approach for the auditors. What the management is looking for the value add proposition, the point is good, but that is just the audit part of it. How to add the audit deliverable is what solutions you can provide. Now, solutions, you may not be the best persons. You cannot be the omnipresent, knowledge holder of the entire business processes. Go to the appropriate, forums, go to the appropriate connect where you can, or you have seen the entire thing. So what you think best, or you can suggest how best it can be treated. Simple thing, a family doctor concept, correct? He says, okay, there is an issue there, like this thing is there. There are blockages there in your this thing. I can't treat you. Go to a recognized hospital, go to Lilavati, go to Induja, go to whatever it is, correct? That should be the auditor. He should not say ki main khud karta hu, then finished. So that kind of a trust, that kind of a value delivery should be there in the internal auditor as a function or this thing. Then only it can be seen what is a value deliverable audit function is changing from. The next one. We all know what is post facto. It is mandated, defined, drafted. This is what you need to do on for the period given, for the data sets or whatever is happening for the given areas. Now, what do you mean by real time? The real time doesn't mean ki kal ho gaya, aaj bata rahe, correct? Real time means it's like an alert to the management after giving, and mind you, because there is the risk associated with this. The alert should not means you should start ringing the bell all across the things. Like भगवान के पास हम जाते हैं मंदिर में एक दो बार घंटा बजाते हैं, वो एक घंटा एक 1 hour if you start striking the bell, what will happen? It will be noise which is not very pleasant, correct? Similar way, you should be able to put the real time means actually at the the real time and the real alert. It is not supposed to be a okay, aisa ho raha hai. It should not be gossiping. It should not be a thought process. Apply your common sense, apply your facts together. More or less, this is what is happening, correct? So वो जो बोलते हैं ना, लाइक जहाँ फायर होगा वहां पे, जहाँ पे स्मोक होगा वहीं पे फायर होगा, तो जस्ट स्मोक आइडेंटिफाई करके आप मैनेजमेंट को बताओ, बट डोंट थिंक कि मेरे को लगता है वहां पे स्मोक आ सकता है, देन इट इज नॉट करेक्ट. दैट मींस यू हैव बीन गिवन एक्सेस टू लुक एट द थिंग्स एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू यूज द एक्सेस without applying your common sense. Okay, so this is very essential for the real time alert, but real alerts also. Now, today's world, gone are those days, because I remember in my early part of career, we have a sample selection, and even I think ICAI had some guidelines on how to select the samples, blah, 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 blah. Today's world has gone totally outdated that concept. Everybody wants a complete delivery, complete package. If you go and tell this is what, my outcome is there based on, so I think they will accept, but they will not seek it as a value added thing. If you said, this is what the complete populations I have reviewed, the complete period I have reviewed, and based on that, this is what is the outcome. This is a value delivery, and that is what would be appreciated by the management, rather than saying a sample based delivery. And there are ways and means to do the things, because I think some eminent faculty members in the past sessions have taken you through the technology and digitizations and so many other things, system based things. So you can learn into this. To be a value delivery, you have to enhance your skill for those things. It doesn't mean you have to, start applying that, but you should be able to refer that. You should be able to understand them better, how you can fit what is where. It's as simple as that. For example, it's, like take a vehicle a vehicle as an example. If something goes wrong, you should be able to at least know what is going wrong. Is it because of the tire is flat or engine problem or whatever? You may not be able to change the engine, but you should be able to, at least identify the problem and refer to the appropriate person. If you do that, you have delivered the value, rather than you report and say, no, this car is at a standstill. So what? Everybody can say so. The one who says first, maybe you are the first ones you are saying, uske baad mein bhi jo aa raha hai, wo bhi bata rahe hai, hum log kar rahe hai. Because yesterday also on YouTube, I just went through one example. I think one of the industrialists whose charter plane was stuck, and people were trying to, fit what has gone wrong. And then, he was trying to hire something, and he said it will take time. He had a need to rush something for urgently. And suddenly one mechanic came and he says, if you give me a chance, I will look into this thing. He says, okay, look, he said his team, move aside, give him a chance. So he fixed the thing, within a very small time. And he says, okay, how much is your fee? He put some very exorbitant amount. Say, for example, he put, say, 50 lakhs or whatever. He's an industrialist, let me tell you. Amount is only for representation purpose. He says, you only change one screw there. You fitted only one screw there. Correct? So, wo screw ka, do I need to pay you 50,000? Because you are looking at me as an industrialist and you are charging me, I think, 50 lakhs or 50,000? Or what? He says, no. वो एक स्क्रू चेंज करने के लिए मुझे हार्डली फीस 500 रुपए है, बट आउट ऑफ अमंग 10,000 स्क्रूज विच स्क्रू टू चेंज, उसके लिए वो 50,000 है, because I need to identify that screw. It is not fitting. So please understand, the skill is the identify and give it to the management. That is a value add by the internal audit. It is not doing it yourself. Identify something more. I think this is enough theory now. Okay, now moving further. Now, so the value doesn't come out of isolation. There is always a value preservation. There is always some value there at a point of time. Say, for example, if you see what is the value there for the internal audit up till now, which we have created over the last, it's a legacy. When the, like for the last couple of decades or whatever centuries, it's a continuous auditing we learned as a value. Automation is there and preventive controls are there. But that value is there and we have to preserve it out. When we say value creations, we have to add the value to this set of things. And the additions can happen in any one of those. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've just maintained for, say representation purpose. Any one of you can add something more to this also. Correct? Can you add anything more to this? I'm surprised you being a chartered accountant, most of you being auditors there. I thought the list will be more than a dozen. And they would say, ये तो कुछ नहीं है, मेरे पास तो इसकी काफी कुछ है. So that should be the confidence. Okay, that is my smartness. No? So you would have said, I would say it is covered here. Okay, that's a different thing. See what it means, broadly, I've given you the 4 captions. So the moment you put the hat for creating value, see value creations, you don't have to really do a research. You must know what are the focuses and how, see for example, you're traveling from point A to point B. Okay, you're covering the distance and making a move there. So the milestones in between. So these could be some of the milestones are there. So eliminate complexity and redundancy. People like the simpler thing. People are moving from complexity to simplicity in the life and all aspect of life. May it be professional, may it be personal, may it be any other thing. That's what. Of course, some youngsters could be, exceptions to this, but I'm sure over a period of time, they will also come to this stage. Now, improve the processes. We always say the process hai ke nahi hai, but we don't give them, a chance to look at the improvisation perspective, because the value addition from the internal audit will come only if you improve the process. Improve the processes means what? Do I need to make any change just like that? No. Please understand, in one of the slides earlier, I said, all those 5-6 factors, they keep on happening. Certain factors will emerge as an exception, one-off factors, certain factors will happen over a period of time. So the entire nature, the way nature keeps on changing, the function also keeps on changing, the business also keeps on changing. So if you say my process will remain same as it was there 5 years back, I think then we are not fit for the auditors. We need to look at what has changed, for which the process was built. I'm sure if it is the same, I think it could be one out the case, but most of the times the process will change. The process will require a change. If you are, as an auditor, able to identify that and give that element of peace to the management at various level, and that's what going to be the value add for the internal audit. Now, do you understand what is meant by promote behavior change? Anybody else? See, I'm not a HR person, neither do I want to talk about the HR here, but it is very important part of it. I think one of the things when I qualified, because abhi bhi hoga, people used to say MBAs are better than chartered accountants. It's always this thing. The only piece was there, we are functionally great, academically great, all other things. MBAs could be none of them, but they have certain, like skill set, which they thought, is better than doing the academics, do, practice on this. But that is a very generic thing. What it means is, when we look for, the auditor, he has to change his entire thought process. The thought process not only starts with the brain, it starts with the body language also. Because I've seen many a times, the auditors always goes on a very questioning mode, always demanding mode, and he'll always see kuch na kuch to usko proving wrong will make him win. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way as you move into the, cadre. Because there is no right and wrong. We are also part of the right and wrong. So promote the behavior changes, you as a CFH or you as a chief audit executive, not only you, because you are not represented alone. You have an entire team there. The entire audit function and the people of the audit function will have to demonstrate at every level, even the junior most fellow also, because he is dealing with his stakeholder. So it cannot be the case whereby the boss is good to everybody, but the last person in the ladder is bad to everybody. That will not give you anything, because in arithmetics or whatever maths we have, whatever, any minus into plus is minus, no. So that will have a minus effect. So you have to change and promote the entire behavior right from your brain to body, both. So when you go and meet somebody, you have to have that endurance of listening to him. You may not agree with the views. Don't put diplomatically, but put sympathetically, and tell him what is your views. You can agree to disagree, but not forcefully. No, all these things matters a lot if you work for the big groups and big conglomerates, because there are a variety of people are there. They come from a different background. They have proved their metals in the given business, given group. You may be too junior to them or too new to them, who would have joined them. So all those things are there. So only thing which you have is आपके हाथ में तलवार है audit की, but उनके हाथ में भी ढाल होती है ना बड़ी. So don't try to play with this, correct? So what I mean to say is, please change your behavior as an auditor and ask the entire audit team also, to have a very positive. Positive ka doesn't mean whatever they see you will listen. Huh? Positive ka matlab, you are alert, you are acceptive, and you will see to it that, like you have a different point of view, you will put it in a very articulative way. Correct? When I look at my people, I've got a large team of people, who reports to me. I look for those skill set rather than somebody comes and say, मैंने ये point निकाला है, बहुत उधर माल है. All that is fine. But then somebody who comes and say, this is our view, this is management view, what can further happen with both those views, correct? That is what is more important. Okay. Now, and finally, because we have our audit plans, audit goals, all of us have your, like, what do you call, appraisal system, your own goals. But for audit as a function, because you are looking into the entire organization's, perspective, all processes, you need to understand and focus on the organizational goals and priorities. At times beyond your own goals and this. Believe me, I have learned from, my early young days of a career, those who help the organizations will succeed finally, if not immediately, rather than those who help themselves will succeed immediately, but finally they may not have a place. So you have to understand the organizational goals and how best we can relate our goals to them. How best, not as a only boss, not as a only manager, not as a only senior manager, not only as, maybe as a supervisor. The entire function's goal have to be aligned with the organizational goals, agreed with the management, and then to tell them, look, this is your goal. I'm going to support you by taking this subset of goals to me, and this is what I can add the value to you. Don't you think any management will like or dislike this kind of an attitude? Instead of that, you go and say, I'll go and find and try to pick holes in what you do. Or suppose you have got this capex, I'll try to see how best it is not so correct. Nobody likes that, correct? So while doing so, of course, you're going to tell them, this is what is likely to be the areas you need to step in. Or if I look it from an outside view, this is what I look. It may not be entirely true, but that insight is going to be, the what do you call it, the outside, inside out, whatever the HR terms. But this kind of a thing will really help the management and the attitude and approach of an auditor. If they see a change, and it is going to help the management, to think the audit function is going to have a value deliverable. Now, this is what somewhat we are at the half of the presentation. And now what we'll start with, how we can deliver the, the audit value. So have you understood how we can deliver the audit value? This is sufficient, or do you want to go ahead with this? Because this is just a theory up till now. The practicals will come now for the next couple of slides. Now many a times what happens, like we have, how can we deliver the value is asked, and that is a very pertinent questions for those people who are new to the professions, or they have got a set timelines or set thought process, or they're working in a given kind of a thing. So I've got a couple of ideas from my own perspective. I have borrowed them from my seniors. Also, I've added on my also. So I don't claim these are the only ideas, which could add value to the audit function, but there could be many more, and you can add them as we go ahead. I'll be happy to note them also. Now, proactive risk focused. Many a time the risks are analyzed. It's like, what has happened in the past. Risk is a future event, but it is more driven from the past. This is what has happened. So there is a risk may likely to happen in the future. So this is not going to help us for the auditors, because your entire function or delivery is going to be risk based. And many a time the risk, the auditors take it as a process risk, which is the biggest, blunder. When we talk about the risk, it has to be the enterprise level risk broken down into the process risk. Process risk could be your risk and control matrices and so many other things. So more importantly, because you have to align yourself with the enterprise risk of a given organizations, correct? And if you don't align yourself with that, all your entire delivery, your actions is not going to help the management. I will keep on repeating the management, because that is the most important stakeholder at various levels. If you forget, because as we say, if you want to be successful businessman, you must know your customer and how to service the customer, how to add the value. So we have to be a proactive risk focus with us. All our methodology should be based on the enterprise risk, cascade down to the process risk. And at times without process risk, how can you base address to the, enterprise level risk? So we can debate and discuss on this, maybe at a different forum, because each one of those bullet points will call for a discussion of more than, a particular section. Secondly, as I was saying earlier, partner with a business. Now, I don't want the audit to be a function as a vendor or a customer to deliver the value. He has to partner with the business. So you have to go a level up than just the one associate, something more than that. So unless you partner with the business, you will not be given a chance to deliver the value by the function. Now, as I said earlier, there are various levels of stakeholders, right from the process owners, the plant level, the business level, the corporate level, entire whatever, different companies, different businesses, different geographies, and so on and so forth. So every level, how to collaborate with the stakeholders is very important. And every audit person must know. Now, one person may not be able to collaborate with all unless he's a head of the function. But you must demonstrate and educate your team what best can be done to ensure that collaboration is available at every possible level, so that it can be optimized and effectively being delivered. Now, when we want to say a value delivery proposition, it should be measurable. So there are business, like parameters, now commonly known as, cost, efficiencies, certain other parameters, and so on and so forth. Management defines it the way they want it. Somebody will say, my market share, or somebody will say my market readiness, or where do I go from here 20 years down the line, and so on and so forth. So all those parameters you must understand and see what best you can do to address those parameters from the audit perspective, what best you can do. And this all calls for knowing the business. Nobody will give you a ready-made answer, say, do this, do this. So nobody will give you a checklist. Please get away from the checklist approach. I'm telling you out, because nowadays audit has become a more live function, correct? So checklist approach has gone are those days. So checklist approach ke liye, there are ERPs there, they're automated, governance models are there, so many things are there. If you try to compete with the machine, you are going to fail. Machine will always win, if not now, but later at the end, correct? So we'll have to get away with this and trying to, try to understand what are the core influence matrices for parameters for the management, understand them and try to best how can you relate with them, and can you do something more. Ask the management whether what can you do something more. At the best, wo kya bolenge, mat karo, theek hai, but at least you have understood what is it, correct? And finally, align internal audit function with the business needs. This is again a very standard thing. We always think, like we do align with the business need, but do we really? Because we do our own self-assessment and we say, yes, we have aligned with the business, but that is the self-assessment. This is not correct. You have given the paper, somebody has to verify and see how many marks you got it. Many a times it happens in our CA exams. People say, "Arey, mere ko paper bahut acha gaya, but main fail ho gaya." So this is not going to happen. So please get it ratified by the management that whatever you have understood, whatever you want to align is being, agreed, if not practically, at least conceptually, before we start working on it. Any question on this? This is a major slide. Anybody? I've got only last 10 minutes, so I need to rush up now. So is the silence is because you have understood everything or you're not understood anything? It could be both. Correct. So I take it positive because I have to change my set of behavior. Now I understand that I have delivered whatever I wanted to and you have understood it anyway. So moving further, you see this beautiful picture. Now all of a sudden you must be thinking why this picture is here. Our topic is value deliverable by the internal audit. This is at a National Conference of Internal Audit. What this beautiful picture has to do with this? But let me tell you, because many a time two unrelated data sets, as I said, change the mindset. What do you look in the picture? Anybody? What do you see? Okay, let me just, whatever I can guess from a few murmurs there. It's a beautiful picture. Good greenery, pleasant. Okay. And because you are looking at it that way, correct? So what it means? Do you recollect a famous saying? Sorry, what is it? Little more close to that. What more? This is what it is, correct? Now, how it is still related to the audit? My thought process of the audit delivery is value lies in the eyes of the stakeholder. So this saying I have converted to means, like for example, no, jokes apart, because in the CA exams is very tough to crack, correct? We recollect certain, like short forms and all, short notes. The material is so huge, you can't recollect everything. So you put some short, short forms or something. So this is what, like value lies in the eyes of stakeholder. So I should not be saying I'm creating the value. As an auditor, as an audit function, should not say this is what my value. It should be done by the stakeholders. Say this is a value. You agree with this together. You come to that and then go ahead. So makes sense. Now it is related there. So what we started with something unrelated, now it has become close relation. This is what is called for, change of a mindset, change of a thought process. And believe me, because everything is possible, change is the most difficult things to happen. Correct? And we'll have to change ourselves, the mindset as auditors to deliver the value. Now, further, this is again theory here. Like, what is a value deliverable for the internal audit? I've just put it there, correct? I'm not going to just, like repeat it out. Is there anything which you can add which is not there? Forget about the first one was all inclusive. There are some gaps here, which I know. If anybody else, identify, well and good. Is it so difficult like a CA paper? See, one important thing for an auditor, he need to be vocal. We cannot keep quiet and just deliver the report. That is last thing to happen. And this is all, like the mannerism. Take that first opportunity. Now I'm asking you, correct? So because nobody will, the baby wants to invite the attention, he or she has to cry, correct? So the crying baby gets the attention, but put it differently, we'll have to speak at every possible forum, every possible opportunity. If you keep what you have, the best of, talent, the best of thought process, the best of, intelligence in your mind and heart, it is just like वो ताजमहल के अंदर है, बस बाहर से ही दिखेगा, अंदर क्या पता नहीं पड़ेगा. So this is not going to help you out. So again, to add the value, the another piece of thing comes is the auditors have to be, I would not say talkative or verbose, they have to be communicative, effective communication, crucial communications. So it should come. So the answer expected is no, this is fine, nothing more than that. I think it covers all. See, somebody said that is the safest answer, correct? Correct. So anyway, so this is what it is. So I got 4 minutes, so I'll rush up now instead of waiting now. And I've just prepared this way forward for the value deliverables. Okay. The first and the foremost is technology. So I'm not getting into know what is this robotic process, what is this artificial intelligence, what is this machine learning, so on. You all must have gone through, not only in this particular forum, but so many other forums. What does it mean? So please use those effectively to deliver your value. How to use those effectively, these sessions will tell you, or you will understand in detail, correct? Then talent and skills. You have, when I say talent and skill, it is not only recruitment. You have to build your own talents and own skills also. Just passing the exam is just an event which has gone. Which has already happened. No, it has got no further relevance now. And probably it has become outdated, because if a person like me who has passed in almost 34 years back, it is more, outdated, because you have to update your current talent, correct? So please update your talent and skill set to deliver the value. Now, while the reporting is like everything for us, goes to the reporting started with, but when I said the high impact report, because I have seen the cases in my career, for the sake of writing report, people used to take a pride in writing 30 pages report. How does it matter? It is just adding value to the, Radhi. That's it. The high impact report is something the management should be able to, understand the impact within not more than 30 seconds. And if they want in detail, you can add it up. That should be the case. It is not 30 pages. It is 30 seconds. He should be able to see. Not only that, he should be able to see what to look at where. Correct? If it is going to the MD, if it is going to the CFO, it is going to the audit committee chairman, it is going to the risk committee chairman, all that I got 30 seconds. And you can always add up something more to that. But if you say, no, sir, ab pura padho, aadha ghanta le lo, uske baad pucho, I don't think he's going to appreciate. He may not say, but he will not like it. The value add you can give it to him, sir, 30 seconds mein ye aur kuch chahiye to pucho main hu. That is a value add you can give, correct? So that is what you have to learn as a value added, delivery by the internal audit. Secondly, agile auditing. Anybody can explain what does it mean? This is a very important concept. It is not auditing, it's agile auditing. Sorry?
Like to be very flexible. So in case wherever on periodic basis also you can check your processes wherever process changes are happening. And to keep on changing your methodologies wherever required from timely basis instead of sticking to one single plan.
No, that's you're close to that. So what it means is you should be real time. See, all these are all put together, agile means whatever is required. See, for example, say for example, like you have to catch a bus and the bus is already there, then you have to run. No? You cannot go at your own speed to catch the bus. So that agility, what you display to catch the bus has to come here. Something is happening, you need to report, you need to review, you need to, come out with this thing. That is called the agility. You cannot say, aram se karenge, all those things. So if that you display the agility as an auditor, believe me, the management will rank you much higher than anybody else because they know this guy will come to me or this team will come to me and tell me. They may not know everything and anything, but then they will be the first one to tell me, what is happening. Okay, fine. Give me a minute. Okay. And the next one is, like continuous monitoring. Correct? All of us know that what it is. Which is very standard. All our, like artificial intelligence, all the ERP, so many things which are happening in the softwares. So I'm not dwelling much on this. And finally, dynamic risk assessment. Just 20 seconds on this. What it dynamic means, don't take the risk register which is there and try to do something built on that. Try to see what is more outside the risk. And it will hardly take, half a day to understand the entire dynamics of the operations. You may come to say there is nothing. But by confirming there is nothing, you have confirmed this is what it is. So what is required is, dynamic risk assessment is the one thing which the auditor should always have it. I'll just push it out. Now the challenges in a very value added delivery. Because what happens is the change management happens. As auditors, we have to hit mostly the running target. The expectation of the stakeholder keeps on changing. Can we stop this? Sorry. So the speed of a change is a very frenetic, because if it keeps on changing, then we have to relate with the speed because we cannot say, let people run, the world run, but I will sit and I will go at my own speed. No, you will have to space it yourself along with the world, the functions and so many other things which are happening. And auditor is no exceptions to this. And finally, do you agree with this? We all talked about the value, but it is all not value the same for everybody and anybody. You must have seen, like the tailor is the best, delivers the value, who puts the cloth or the fitting best to each of his customers. You have to understand each of your customer and give the best fitted things. So value is no one side fit at all. So you have to understand that. Otherwise, you say, no, this is a value proposition for X. So I'll deal it for the all A, B, C, D, up to X. That will create a disaster. You have to understand that. And finally, these are just a synopsis of what my thought process for this value deliverables by internal audit. Now, can you fill in the blanks? Internal audit has to be. This is just a small question. Okay, quickly. See, as I said, you have to be quick. Huh? Okay, and you're almost there. So let me just complete the remaining. So that's good. So what it means, I put 3 R's, which is real, relevant, and reliable. As I said, for my CA exams, I always used to put, I will remember 3 R, automatically will come what it is. So all these things you have to create your own, like short forms. Real, relevant, and reliable. What all you said will be covered in this. Sorry? Yeah. You can add another 4, 5, whatever it is, but that is it. Okay, so you have learned, I think my purpose is served. Okay. Secondly, as I said, because things keeps on changing. Okay, the entire world keeps on changing and we cannot complain, like change has happened. So what can I do? It has changed whatever I wanted to do. So you have to start each and every change at a very tiny step. Over a period of time, it will happen to a dramatical tomorrow, correct? So a tiny change today brings a dramatical different tomorrow. We as an auditor, we need to understand, don't get demoralized, don't get, unhappy, अरे क्या इससे कुछ नहीं होता, ऐसा नहीं होता. Make a small start. Maybe in the future, something better will happen, something dramatic will happen. But the small start, you will have to take a first step, baby step first, finally. As I said, things are happening outside our control, correct? Things keeps on happening, the things, which are not in our control, not in the business control, so on and so forth. So can we complain and say, as an auditor, what can I do? They are outside my control. No. What you need to have this thing is one, like one cannot stop the wave. As auditors cannot stop the wave, but what you need to do is we can learn to surf with it. And that is a very important skill for auditor to deliver the value as such. And finally, if we are not in a position to understand, deliver and continuous value add to a function and to the management, what will happen? If internal audit's presence doesn't add any value, probably internal audit's absence won't make any difference. I hope you understand the cash line. With that, I take your leave. Thanks a lot for listening patiently. Do you have any question answer session?
Yeah.
Anybody has got any quick questions? I'm here.
Yeah. Any questions? We have one question.
So please don't judge me for this, but sometimes in the process of adding value to the report or to the audit, we go overboard and shoot up our cost. And the remuneration may not be commensurate to that. So as a junior internal audit professional, what would you suggest us? Like where should we set a Lakshman Rekha or where should we stop and how should we do that?
Look at the first line. Look at the first line, real, relevant, and reliable. If you extend each one of these adjectives, relevance means, as you said, cost aspect, which is not disproportionate, correct? The moment it becomes disproportionate, it is not going to be relevant.
Right.
Correct? So that's what I said. See, this is just an example I said. It's my thought process. Each one of you with your varied experience, which you will keep on getting, as a part of your business, develop that mindset to get into this kind of a thing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, okay.
Last, I would say, assessment.
Last question.
Yeah.
We will take that.
So maybe I would say that it's not a question, but I really appreciate the way Dalvi has made his viewpoint on the overall value add from the internal audit perspective. So I'm a more than 25-year experience holder as far as internal audit function is concerned. So I can relate your viewpoint, and I wish to support my way of looking at it. I'm sure I'm absolutely echoing the same thing which you are talking about. So we all know that you can't be more loyal than king. And when we talk about the business, ultimately the management, the owner, they know the best and they do the best and they create the value. So probably from the internal audit point of view, if we try to follow their focus and if we make our internal audit scope and effort in the direction in which they are thinking, I can see that we can definitely add value. And just to summarize, like it's not a theoretical aspect which we are, or rather I'm talking about. I would say that any management would always focus on 4 things. That is people, strategy, implementation. And I would say that when it comes to the 4th leg, it would be more focus on, I would say, so people, implementation. Anyway, I think one more aspect which ensure so sir, so I'm telling you today we are following a process whereby we go for various cycles that we have been taught. So our focus is not on those aspects. So if we really focus from the management perspective on these aspects, I think we can add far superior value additions.
I can just put one small, I have 4 P's in your, as an auditor: plan, prepare, perform, and deliver. It's all again, small things, because it helps a lot. You have to keep on, your thinking antenna up before you deliver. You straightway can't go.
True, sir.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think if anything is there, we can take the questions at the time of panel discussion.
Okay.
Let's quickly move to.
Tea time, sorry, is available.
Thank you.